All right, let's talk Oregon Ducks football now that spring ball has finally kicked off. We're seeing the pads on, or we'll see the full pads on in short order. Football is back in kind of a dumbed down kind of way. Of course, regular football doesn't come back to the fall, but it's still exciting to see what the Ducks are going to start to look like for the 2025 season. The most important position in question is obviously the quarterback position. And we've got an interesting update on that. I think has pretty big implication for Oregon going forward. We'll get into that in just a second. But first, I'm Nick. That's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, talking Oregon Ducks, talking the quarterback position. This is the first time in I think a few years now where the Ducks haven't had a defined starter. We know Bo Nix and T. Gabriel. Things are a little different now. They've got to choose a starter with a legitimate competition going on. Let's get into this report courtesy of 24/7 Sports, starting with Dan Lanning's commentary specifically. I love the group that we've got. We've got a bunch of cerebral guys, talented guys, and some guys that bring different skill sets in that room. It'll absolutely be a competition, Lanning said following Thursday's first practice of spring. Competition is what makes everybody better. I'm excited to see these guys grow. They've done a good job. We've added some wrinkles this offseason that are a little bit different, and they've done a good job absorbing that and executing it. Whomever wins the right to replace Gabriel will be several years younger, obviously, and far less experienced. It's hard to be more experienced or younger than Dylan Gabriel and still be a college player. More in Novosad, we're seeing the 2023 recruits entering their redshirt sophomore seasons, and these are the room's veterans. These aren't finished products yet, obviously, and according to Lanning, have been receptive to being coached the right way and of the growth mindset necessary to succeed. All right, so obviously this quarterback battle, most likely, barring something very surprising, is going to come down to those two names, Novosad and Moore. So here we've got an interesting duality here, two different quarterbacks, two different options the Ducks can go. First time in a long time, we've got a big-time QB battle on our hands in Eugene. Miles, I know you've got a few thoughts on this, but first, Oregon fans, in the comment section below, who do you want to be the Ducks starting quarterback week one of the 2025 season? Is it Moore? Is it Novosad? Maybe you're a sucker for the old days and you want to see Achilles Smith Jr. get some opportunities, fond memories of watching his dad play football. Whatever it may be, whoever it may be, give us your opinion on who you think should the Oregon Ducks first string quarterback should be week one of the season. Put them in the comment section below. But Mize, over to you. What are your thoughts on the Oregon Ducks and this quarterback battle right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's going to be an interesting spring season for the Ducks coming in, like you said, first real true quarterback battle we've had in a long time. Dan Lanning, he attributes to it in his comments saying, hey, we will certainly have a battle. It's between these two guys, basically between Moore and Novosad. I think it's going to be a really interesting battle because you've got two guys, they're pretty similarly matched as far as when you look at what they bring to the table. Both very athletic, both big frame guys. Novosad 6'3", 205, Moore 6'3", 210. So they're pretty much identical almost as size. What they bring to the table, their same skill level, same recruiting class as well. So they're both coming in. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting, comparison between the two. We're going to see, and I think Dan Lanning in his comments, he kind of alluded to something. I think he's trying to test them mentally. I think we know that they have the physical tools. We know that they're able to come out here and, be athletic, throw the ball, every throw on the field, do all that kind of things. But he talks about, this is going to be a competition. We're going to throw the wrinkles in here. And I want these to be, he came out right with his first comment saying, I want to see cerebral guys. He says they're cerebral guys. Let's prove it. He says, you're really able to come out here and think differently, absorb everything. I think we're going to start to see that. I think that's going to be, can you absorb this Oregon offense? Can you run through everything in your head? Can you be that field general in your head on the field? We know you got the physical tools. I think this is going to be the interesting part of this quarterback battle for the Ducks. We're going to see which one of these guys has the best football IQ, which one of these guys can come out here and mentally lead this offense. And I think there's going to be a really interesting battle here. I know Novosad Moore, they've been through this for a long time together, but finally one guy's going to come on top, and I am dying to see this full spring season just to see how this thing unfolds because, getting back to it, first season, a long time for the Ducks that we're actually going to get to see a quarterback battle. I think either one of these guys could be good. I'm excited, though, to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, I've just got the feeling, and I don't know why. I'll call it a gut feeling that it's Novosad's job to lose, right? I'm just going off history here. That this is a Ducks program that everyone knows lived in the transfer portal for quarterback position, right? For the quarterback position. You go Bo Nix, of course, you go to Gabriel, and then maybe, Dante Moore, obviously being a transfer in his own right. A lot of people, myself included, thought that's the natural progression. It's going to be Nix's job to Gabriel's job, and then it's going to be just a handoff to Dante Moore, who in his own right was a phenomenal prospect. And of course, he's got some experience. He played at UCLA. Now, it wasn't perfect for Moore at UCLA, but he's played significant reps at big boy college football, and he, of course, had all the physical tools. Novosad was a highly ranked recruit, taking nothing away from him out of the state of Texas, but Moore was a much higher graded prospect. So it seemed at first glance like this was going to be Moore's job 100%. Novosad maybe doing a little bit of competing, but it was going to be Dante Moore. He was going to be the guy. The fact that Lanning is saying this is going to be a true competition, like they're going to have to go at it, I think to me is an indication that either Dante Moore has disappointed a little bit. I don't say disappointed, has underperformed a little bit based on his high expectations, which I don't think is likely. I think Dante Moore seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He's got phenomenal athletic skill set. Again, very experienced. So I don't think that happened. I think Novosad, in terms of what he's done in the offseason, what he's shown in the film room, the cerebral element of the game, if you will, has really impressed Lanning and the coaching staff. And keep in mind, Dan Lanning, by nature, he wants to be a defensive minded guy, wants to be special teams. That's sort of his instinct to have that kind of stylistic football. Now, of course, Oregon scores a million points, but I guarantee you, deep down, he looks at this roster and looks at the quarterback position and says, we need a guy that when push comes to shove can manage the game effectively. We need a guy that can score 50 points if have to, right? But the Ducks have talent to do that almost anyway. And these big clutch moments that the Ducks, to be totally honest, in have fallen short in a few times now over the past few years. Do they have a quarterback that can manage the game and keep things going and limit the damage? Put some drives together when they're up against the ropes with slow, methodical drives. This was the things that, like Tom Brady, for example, in the NFL was absolutely magical at. When things are going bad, the momentum's against you. Manage the game, few short throws, read the defense, takes what it gets you. You're down 14-0, have a 10-play drive to make it 14-7, and now it's a football game again. Defenses had time to relax. All right, let's play ball. I think the Ducks haven't had that in a number of years. I think Dylan Gabriel and Bo Nix, that's not who they were. I think Novosad, based on just kind of reading between the lines here, maybe he's closer to that than Dante Moore. And now we'll have an entire spring to see, and probably summer workouts and training camp too, to see who truly is ready to handle the mental side of being the Oregon Ducks quarterback. And again, I'm reading between the lines here. I could be way off base, right? There's a lot of different ways this could go. But right now, my gut feel is that Novosad, he's the slight, ever so slight favorite to be QB1 for Oregon this fall.
Yeah, Nick, and I think you bring up an interesting point. I think usually when they bring in their transfers, Oregon is looking for that to be the heir apparent. So your comments like Dan Lanning coming in saying there's going to be a definite battle here. It's not even really, one guy over the other. We're definitely having a quarterback battle. It would be that Novosad gets the lean as far as Moore's come in and really not been the guy that they want him to be. I think you're completely right on that. And I think it's interesting because Moore is traditionally, more of he's got some athleticism, some mobility, but he's not really a big play threat with his legs. He can stand in the pocket, he can move around, he can create some extra time. But when you look at Novosad, Novosad is a three-sport varsity athlete coming out of high school. Guy was a track and field star. He was in 300-meter hurdles, 110-meter hurdles, triple jump. The guy did all kinds of stuff athletically that you'd see in some of the hardest, ability to play in football in Texas as well. So I think that he comes into this bringing just a little bit of an edge as far as I got the more athleticism. I'm the guy that can break the longer runs. I can, if I got to scramble out of the pocket, I can make a big play with my legs if needed to be. They talk about his consistency, his ability to lead guys, throw on the run. He's very accurate as a passer as well. I think overall, Novosad, he's the more intriguing target to me. I think Moore is very good. I think he has just as much of a chance. I think truly what Lanning said, this is going to be a battle and we're going to have to see it to the bitter end. And I love that because I want these guys to earn it. So I really think that that's going to be the key here. I think Oregon fans will enjoy seeing this battle to the end. But I think I agree with you here. I think Novosad gets the edge to me just because they bring a lot to the table, both of them, almost similarly to a fault. But I think a little edge when you dig into Novosad's background, he brings just a little bit more to the table for this Ducks team as part on with whoever can grasp the offense cerebrally, who can bring that mental attack to the table a little better. I think that's what we'll see over spring as well. But in the end, I think it's going to be Novosad. I have to agree with you. And I think that this team is going to be really interesting to watch next year because I think it's going to be very different than what we've seen them do in the past.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just kind of a final point. I think one of the things Dan Lanning is kind of doing here is sending a message to the rest of his team. If you don't have a defined starting quarterback as you get ready for spring ball, summer workouts, and then fall training camp, then of course the regular season, it forces you to say, hey, defense, hey, special teams, hey, O line, hey, running backs, you need to be ready early on. And that was one of the question marks for Oregon last year. They were slow to start before they kind of figured out who they were going to be stylistically. I think a lot of it was because the team knew Gabriel was the guy. It was sort of like, hey, we've got our quarterback in place. He's going to lead us. We'll just follow his lead and we'll figure things out. And it works really well when you have a guy of Gabriel's stature, who of course was outstanding. But sometimes you want to have a team where the defense knows they can lead the team and win a few games just going through a spring and training camp with that mentality, where the offensive line knows, hey, listen, there's going to be moments where it's on us. Let's prepare for that now. It takes that whole team concept. And sometimes when you have a great veteran star quarterback like Gabriel, who was sort of the day one starter the moment he showed up on campus, sometimes you get kind of what I call the Kobe Bryant effect. And you remember him, of course, the great Lakers superstar, the late great Kobe Bryant, where you get kind of just watching him. You're like, Kobe will win the game for us. Oh, Dylan will win the game for us last year. I think when you have a quarterback battle, especially that's going to last for a very long time, it puts more pressure and therefore more responsibility, more ownership on the other position groups to say, hey, listen, we got to step up too, because these quarterbacks, whoever it is going to need our help. And so, in a way, not only is this good for the quarterback room, this battle that Dan Lanning has set up, I think it's great for the rest of the Oregon Ducks team as well.